Where are you, summer? Why can't I find you? Why have you gone away? Where is the sunshine you used to bring me? Why can't I hear the birds chirping? The season's changing. I'm just really fucking cold. So, I went to Starbucks yesterday and I asked them, when they asked me for my name, I said it was Summer. I'm protesting this cold weather, and I'll teach those bastards at Starbucks for putting snowflakes on their cups. Welcome to the River's Edge Radio Network. I am Brian Crawford, the master of the Millvale Shore, sitting behind the microphone in the beautiful Millvale Studios right here on North Avenue in the thriving community of Millvale. You can listen to us live on Facebook or live at riversedgepgh.com, powered by NJL WebTech. Honest, practical, and affordable. Go to njlwebtech.com for all of your web servicing needs. I'm starting the hashtag, not my weather. You heard it here this beautiful Monday morning. Monday is a great day. It's my Saturday. And I've decided to protest the winter, protest the cold weather, protest this awful, awful season that we're finally now moving into. So join me after the show. We're going to throw some bricks at some windows of some businesses in Oakland, because that's the way to protest in the US of A. I'd go downtown, but if you go downtown in the wintertime, like today, I was down there yesterday morning, it's like a wind tunnel. And I'd be afraid to throw a brick downtown because my luck, the brick would come flying back at me. If anything, we've learned in Portland that protests are made for destroying private property, not injuring yourself. Winter has some sort of a magical power when it comes to the wind. And this is a true story. Many buildings downtown have crazy wind vortexes, I guess you would call them. And one time this happened, I was delivering plants at the USX Tower. I used to be a delivery driver, as you know. And that was one problem that you had at the wintertime. The wind downtown is crazy. You can actually hear it hissing at you as you're walking. And it's so forceful during the winter that it actually can slow your pace, the wind itself. And one time I was going into the USX Tower, and I never would go to the loading dock if I could avoid it, unless I had a huge delivery. If I just had one item that I needed to deliver at USX Tower, I would always take it in through the front door, because the guy who ran the loading dock was a rat-tailed bastard. The guy was terrible. He wanted you to call in. He was just a douchebag. He handled the situation terribly. Nobody liked him, and I wasn't going to deal with his crap. So I always went in through the front door. Well, I had this big plant on a cart, and I go to open the door into the USX building, and the wind vortex I was telling you about literally lifted the cart off the air, off the ground, maybe about half a foot into the air, and it hovered there. And I'm trying to push the cart into the door, and the wind from within the building was pushing the cart back out, and it literally was flying in the air. It's a true story. And it's crazy. This happens all the time. I know the Omni William Penn, if you have to make a delivery to the lobby, the automatic doors, you actually have to go in. You have to play like a Tetris game where you have to go in, then you move in straight ahead a couple feet. You stop. You have to shimmy to the right or shimmy to the left. Let the door close behind you. Then you move forward, and then you got to move back in front of the other door so the second automatic door will open. Otherwise, whatever you're delivering is going to fly off your cart and into the lobby. That's just a fact. If you're thinking about getting into the delivery business, that's a true statement. You want to be careful. You really do. It's crazy. It's like a wind tunnel. It's bitter. It attacks your face. The winter is wicked when it comes to delivering downtown or walking downtown for that matter. Speaking of downtown, Robert Manhertz passed away. And you're asking yourself, well, who's Robert Manhertz? Robert Manhertz is the artist who designed the iconic Horns Christmas tree. There's an obituary that came out in today's Post-Gazette. And Horns department store is the current Highmark building. I believe it's Penn Avenue Place, which is different than Fifth Avenue Place. Fifth Avenue Place is the Highmark building that is the one that you notice in the skyline that has the little spike that goes up and has the color on it. It's a cool-looking building, and it's a neat, modern skyscraper that has the kind of the mall concept within it. Penn Avenue Place is attached to Fifth Avenue Place through a skywalk, and that is the old Horns department store. And if you notice, there's always a tree that is on the corner of that building. It's kind of one of those iconic Christmas symbols in Pittsburgh. So, sad to see him go, but yeah, he is no longer with us. But that's a cool tree, and that's one thing I will say about Pittsburgh. Despite my loathing of the cold weather, and I am bitter, I am depressed about the cold weather, let me tell you, I need a safe space to, I guess, foster my feelings or become introverted or something. But anyways, the Christmas scene downtown is awesome, and I think Pittsburgh's Christmas scene, it's fantastic, especially in the Market Square area, and that old Horns department store is near that Market Square area. There's lots of things you can do down there for free, and the PPG Plaza, which is run by Highwoods Realtor, they do a fantastic job of really getting into the Christmas spirit and opening it up to the masses. But it's a great experience. If you haven't been down there, you need to check it out. We're going to talk more about the winter. That's on to the horizon for today's show. We also are going to talk about a situation in the Pittsburgh Public Schools, a situation that is kind of distressing. So we're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about an unwanted bus route, but it's Monday, and as always, we have Matt Gajtka with your weekly sports update, and he's going to be up right after the break, so stay tuned. Matt Gajtka, he's going to be up next here on Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, The River's Edge. Oh, call me, 412-407-2PGH, or you can message us on the Facebook Live page, or you can hit me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH. If you're a fan of winter, if you're a fan of the coming Christmas season, if you like cold weather, if you like snow, I want to hear from you. I'm in the dumps. I'm depressed. This is the most depressing time of year, in my opinion, so I am looking to you, the audience of the River's Edge Radio Network, the most intelligent audience in the Pittsburgh radio scene. I want you to contact me and try to lift my spirits. I do not think you can do it, but I want to hear what are some good things about the wintertime. And don't tell me, oh, I like the seasons, I like the change, I like when things change up, because that's just something people say. Give me tangible reasons why the winter is an okay time of year. You can call us at 412-407-2PGH. We've got Matt Gajtka up next. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network. Ugh, the holidays. I'm so sick of downtown and all of the traffic and the hustle and bustle. Can't find a parking space. It's awful.
Well, did you hear about the Millville Small Town Holiday Celebration? Oh, I did. You mean the second annual Yuletide tour?
Yes, skip the mall, shop small.
I'd love to shop and explore the 25 stops on this year's tour.
Wow, I love Millville businesses. This is awesome. 25 shops, that's great. But what am I going to do with the kids? The kids are going to get bored of shopping all day.
I hear they're having a Christmas carnival at the Millville Community Center from 1 to 3 with Santa.
And Santa is coming to town at 6 o'clock to light the tree.
So what do I do in between with the kids?
Well, there will be horse-drawn sleigh rides for the family from 1:30 to 3 with live music and entertainment throughout the day.
Oh, that's great. The kids will be worn out.
We'll drop the kids off with the sitter and come relax and enjoy Millville's pub scene. We'll have drink specials and live music.
So come on out Saturday, December 3rd, 10 to 10, and explore all of the great businesses Millville has to offer. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter for more information at BAM15209.
Shop local.
All right. Welcome back to the River's Edge Radio Network. We have Matt Gajtka, who's joining us right now over the phone. Matt, how are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you enjoying the weather?
Not well. We went light up night. It was 75 degrees or 70 something degrees that day. And I came in to this show on Saturday. We had a show with Jay Cooper and Howie D. Mack. And I said that light up night was like the kiss of death in Pittsburgh because the next day it was going to snow. And it was terrible. I woke up, there was snow on my car. It's cold out now. I'm sitting next to this space heater here in the studio. It's just that there's not a single good thing about winter, in my opinion. I mean, there's hockey's good. I like hockey, but the outside weather itself, I can't come up with one attribute.
Well, Brian, when we have a day when it's over 70 degrees in mid-November, the correction is coming quickly. So we all should have seen that coming on Friday. The weird thing for me, I don't know how you feel about it, Brian, but I used to like cold weather better when I was a kid. Maybe it was just because it meant that there was the chance of a snow day from school, and I hated going to school. So that was always a little bit of hope in the back of your mind once the calendar turned, especially to December and January. But I have a harder time dealing with it now. Maybe I'm just getting soft in my old age. I'm 31 now. Maybe when you go past 30, things change for you. But I was out at Pitt Duke. I was out in the weather, in the elements on Saturday. The snow was blowing around. I'm in the upper deck at Heinz Field, and the wind is blowing right in our face. So yeah. I couldn't have had a more direct introduction to the winter season, even though I know it's not technically winter for another month or so. It sure felt like it's Saturday, and I have a whole new appreciation for people who have to work outside at this time of the year. I'll put it that way.
Oh yeah, I couldn't imagine working outside. I know you're about the same age as I am. I think you're a year or two older than I am. But you're old enough, if I'm old enough to remember this, then you are as well, the blizzard of the 90s.
Sure. There were a couple of them, man. 93 was the big one. I remember having about 2.5, 3 feet of snow in our front courtyard at home, and it being basically taller than me at the time. I was 7 years old, or 8 years old, I guess it was, just before my 8th or my 9th birthday. And that was a sight to behold. That one was in March. There was also one in maybe 96, I want to say as well, that wasn't quite as huge, but it was still a big deal at the time. And just more recently, I'm sure you recall this, back in 2010, we called it Snowmageddon, I think.
Yeah, or
Snowpocalypse, whatever it was.
Snowpocalypse, yeah. Oh, trust me, I remember that very well, Matt. I was a local councilman during Snowpocalypse, and all I heard were people bitching left and right about the roads. My roads aren't plowed. Well, actually, every road was plowed in my town that night, and people were just still miserable. And there were communities that went over a week without touching all of the roads in their community, and people were just miserable.
Well, to tie it into sports, that was the storm that stranded the Penguins. They were playing in, I want to say it was either New Jersey or New York, or one of the two New York teams in the tri-state area up there, and they had to bus to Washington for a Sunday afternoon game, against Ovechkin and the Capitals. It was an NBC game, so the league was hesitant to cancel it. But I don't think there was anybody even allowed on the roads in Washington for a while, and the attendance wasn't so good. But it was the only game on the schedule, so the league and the network wanted to push it forward. And it was just, I guess it was nice because none of us could do anything or leave the house, so at least we had some hockey to watch that day.
Yeah, very true. Well, it was it snowing yesterday at yesterday's game? I wasn't able to watch it. I was at a coffee event and then I passed out.
Yes, it was blowing around, and if we think we have it bad here, then just move up to Cleveland, right on the banks of Lake Erie, and then you really understand the difference between just being cold and windy and cold, and that's what it looked like up in Cleveland. I think it's called First Energy Field now, but same old results for the Steelers there. And I feel like, Brian, half the games that I've watched between the Steelers and Browns at that facility have been just like the one yesterday. Pretty boring, grinded out, maybe some snow blowing through the air, some old-fashioned football, game moving along because there's a whole bunch of runs, and especially from the Steelers. That's the way they controlled the game and finally put a stop to that month-long losing streak. So they're at 5-5 now with 6 to play, tied with the Ravens for the top spot in the AFC North. And for as, I think, disappointing as this season has seemed, they are in, I think, probably the best spot in the division to win the thing. They have that one matchup left against the Ravens, which might decide it, and that's at Heinz Field. So if I had to pick a team to win the division, I think I'd still pick the Steelers.
Yeah, probably, and that's not saying much for the division.
It's not. We thought the Bengals were going to be good this year, Brian, and they are below 500. And the Browns are still looking for win number 1 as we go past Thanksgiving. So that tells you all you need to know there. The NFL is different because unlike the other leagues in our country, the major professional sports leagues, baseball has 6 divisions, basketball has 6, hockey now just has 4. So you're guaranteed a playoff spot in each of these leagues when you win the division. But in football, there are 8, 4 in each conference. So there's always the chance that a team that maybe doesn't quite deserve as much as another gets in. And I've always thought it unfair that you award an automatic playoff spot to a division winner if, say, there's another team out there that might have a better record. And we could really see that in the AFC this year if the Ravens and the Steelers continue to muddle along. There's a really good chance that there are 6 teams with better records than either of those at the end of the season, but one of those 6 teams will not make it because of that regulation that I just talked about.
Yeah, see, I'm on the other side of that argument, Matt, and I understand your perspective, but to me, winning the division, putting an importance on that, it sparks rivalry, it makes excitement, and to me, if you want a secured spot, you just gotta win the division.
Well, I agree with that because you do have to market things, and if you have, say, that good example is this year. Say the Steelers and the Ravens go into that second to last week, and they're both maybe at 500 or below, and if you didn't have that carrot dangling at the end of the season, the playoff spot to the division winner, then it may not be that meaningful. But now it's probably going to be the biggest game of the season for both teams, and so I understand that from a financial standpoint, from a hype standpoint. But I'm also more of I'm a fan of meritocracies and the best teams getting rewarded. And in this case, I don't think that's really what might play out. But the one thing that maybe I could compromise with you on this, Brian, is that perhaps there's just a bylaw that you have to have a winning record as a baseline to make the playoffs. And if you're 8-8 and a division winner, then I'm sorry, you weren't good enough to make it. So that would still allow for, say, an inferior 9-7 team to make it over maybe a 10-6 team for another division. But at the same time, at least they met some minimum requirements to make the postseason.
Yeah, I could see that. It is odd when you see a team that shouldn't be there get there. I mean, and maybe that's a good compromise. But I like the idea of the division meaning something. I don't know. I really think that sparks, like, you look at even like Pittsburgh and the Flyers, the Penguins and the Flyers, and yeah, there's always going to be that hatred, but the fact that they're so they're in that division, I think even exacerbates it even further, just because they're fighting for the same thing. So
it helps.
Yeah.
Although I think in that case, Brian, arch rivals like that would hate each other if they were in
Well,
different
sure.
leagues. They don't have to be in the same division. If they played once a year, it would be huge. So that type of a situation is different. But I think in general, your point is valid.
Yeah. And what else is going on in the world of sports this week?
Well, we look forward to a big home and home with the Penguins and the Rangers, which starts tonight at PPG Paints Arena. The
Mhm.
Rangers have been surprisingly frisky. You'll remember the Penguins blitzed them in the first round of the playoffs last year, and that last game was especially decisive. It looked like they broke Henrik Lundqvist and broke the Rangers' system, essentially, with their speed. Well, the Rangers saw that. They liked what they saw, and they tried to become quicker, and they really have. And they've added some free agents. They made some trades, and one of their recent draft picks also came over from Russia. So they've gotten younger, they've gotten quicker, and they are, in fact, at the top of the Metropolitan Division at this stage of the season, which I don't think any of us saw
No.
coming. It seemed like a rebuild was on the way for the Rangers, but so far their copycat behavior, if you will, that happens a lot when you win a championship, but the Rangers may have made the biggest adjustment out of any team in the East. They look legit, and the Penguins are coming off a weekend in which they played really well in both games, got 3 out of 4 points on the road. So they're finally looking a little bit more like the team we saw late last year. This will be fun. Monday, I mentioned, tonight, and Wednesday in New York.
Yeah, I was listening to your last show, and I'm trying to look up the gentleman's name right now.
Chris Peters.
Yeah, Chris
came on.
Peters. A great interview with him. For anybody listening, check that out. It's on demand. You can get it on iTunes or Google Play or YouTube. And really great stuff there about the way the NHL has changed since the lockout and since Crosby's joining the league to where it's at now. Really good stuff there, Matt. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Chris is awesome. And like I mentioned, if you're out there looking to hire a hockey writer, he's among the best in terms of noticing general trends. And if you go back, Brian, and watch hockey from, say, 2004 and earlier, it's tough to recognize the sport. It's so much slower. It's only gotten faster year after year. Part of that is training getting better, conditioning, nutrition, all of that. The athletes are just better than they used to be. But also, there is an increased emphasis on skating. And if you can't skate, you can't play. It used to be, if you were a big dude, you could stand in front of the net, whether it be offensive or defensive zone, and get it done and do your thing. But for better or worse, that type of player is gone. And he has been washed out of the NHL just because you have to be mobile. And if you're not, then you're going to have a hard time. So it is about skating, and sometimes that can make the available space on the rink smaller. It's weird. The faster the league gets, the more constricted it gets because everyone can move. But if you do have that high-end elite speed, and that elite talent helps as well, but if you have the foot speed like Connor McDavid does, the new phenomenon in the NHL, then you're going to have the edge. And we saw with the Penguins last year. It worked really well, and they combined speed with that top-of-the-line ability that they have in Crosby and Malkin, Letang, and, of course, Matt Murray stepping in. So it's used to be, back in the 90s, they used to call it the coolest game on earth. Well, now it's definitely the fastest game on earth by far. It's amazing to watch.
It is. All right, Matt, thank you very much. You can check out Matt at dkpittsburghsports.com, and you can also listen to him every Friday morning here at riversedgepgh.com. Matt, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Talk to you later.
That's Matt Gajtka. I'm Brian Crawford. And Christy wants to bitch about PennDOT. Apparently, they had closed 79 in both directions out by Warrendale due to ice. Well, I mean, it is the beginning of the year, so they got to get their legs rolling. But if you want to bitch about transportation, up next, right after the break, we're going to talk about a bus route that people were angry about. And we're going to talk about public transit, so that's up next here on The River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Mike Storer, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
So you always hear people bitching about bus routes disappearing, and it is a problem, especially with the budget. Bus routes are disappearing all the time. Anytime that they run into a financial problem, they just cut routes to the rural areas typically, which is kind of crazy because downtown the bus will stop 3 or 4 times within about a block. Nobody can walk, but they're cutting all the places out in the suburbs. And the Port Authority is run through the county, so that's an issue. But there's one community that is actually trying to get rid of the bus. And the reason why is apparently the bus is driving down a private road. And it's interesting because this road, I guess this community was built on a former landfill. Let's see, this comes from the Post-Gazette. It says, unwanted north side bus route could change in March. And it says, Bill Lazzara knows one thing, Port Authority buses can keep a schedule. He knows because buses driving through his otherwise quiet Brighton Woods Road on the north side wake him up at the same time every morning. Neighborhood residents took their concerns directly to the authority board last week. After weeks of discussion with the authority, staff produced no changes to services that return to the 83-unit neighborhood in September. So they're trying to get rid of a bus, and I guess they're saying it's noisy, it's problematic, and they're afraid of the bus destroying their road. Quote here, it says, we are concerned about our infrastructure, Mr. Lazzara told the board. He says, the buses put 10 million pounds of weight on our road each week. So they're concerned, and they're looking to get rid of the bus. And I just think it's funny because these people are pushing to get the bus out of their community, and other people are desperate for busing, desperate for transit, desperate for the T. What really kills me is Allentown, where the T runs through the community, but the T doesn't stop. And it actually hinders traffic because the T through Allentown runs directly on the road. So the people of Allentown have to watch the T drive by every day in envy because it's something that they cannot use. And I remember, like, I spoke once about this, and I had said that, it must be really nice to live somewhere like Allentown where the T runs through your town. And then I was informed by Buzzy, who runs a friendly podcast network, another podcast network in the Pittsburgh region. He's like, yeah, I live there, and you can't take the T. So if you're in Allentown, you just get to watch it go by. So, very sad. As I said before in the beginning of today's program, we are going to talk about an interesting situation, about a bullying situation that is going on in the Pittsburgh Public Schools, how it has to deal with President-elect the Donald, and it's a touchy situation. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to be back with that up next here on the River's Edge.
Thanks so much for hanging out the River's Edge Radio. Right here, you got Jeremy Kaywood hanging with Brian Crawford for this little promo. December 2nd at the Funhouse of Mr. Smalls is my CD release show. You should come and check that out, December 2nd at the Funhouse of Mr. Smalls. We have Andre Costello, Jeremy Colbert, Tori Shinneman for some spoken words, some classical violin playings and stylings from Johanna Chastik. Special appearances by Adam Levine and The Way of Life. It's going to be so awesome. You should come on down to the Funhouse at Mr. Smalls on December 2nd for my CD release show. Thanks, guys. Keep listening to River's Edge Radio.
I am a dog, and I must obey to be fed and through the ball. and I will chase it to the end. I keep running and panting.
So post-election anger, it has now reached the Pittsburgh Public Schools potentially. There are reports that students are being bullied and harassed by their peers due to their ethnicity. 2 Syrian students said that they have been not physically attacked, but verbally attacked on the bus. You've heard reports of this going on throughout the country after the election. People chanting white power or build the wall or go back to Mexico or whatever. And it's depressing and it's sad to see it happen here. And this is what happens when rhetoric gets twisted by the media. And the rhetoric itself could have created this, but then the media goes through and splices it out, and political campaigns splice it out, and they cut and paste, basically, and create their own dialogue. And this is what it can lead to. It can affect kids. And it's tragic. It's really sad to see this happen. But what might be even more disappointing, more distressing, is the inaction that is coming from both our president and our president-elect when it comes to this post-election rage. And you're seeing it on both sides. You're seeing it, actually, to be quite honest, you're seeing it from adults on the left, on the immigrant side of things. You're seeing that among kids, and that's kind of really distressing because you can see those people growing, and maybe those feelings will follow them into adulthood, and that's kind of a frightening thing to think about. But whenever Trump's only action when it comes to the reports of these things happening in these schools is stop it. He says, if this is happening, stop it. That's his grand moment. I would really like to see the Donald, and you know he's a media guru, just look at the way he was able to push the Trump University thing to the side by focusing on a few people, a few hecklers, and a speech at a play in New York. He's very good at tweaking the media. He knows exactly what he's doing. People like to say he's an idiot. He's not an idiot. The guy's a genius. Look what he did. It basically should have had no chance of winning a presidential election, and here he is, President-elect Donald Trump. But his inaction is disappointing. The protests going on in Portland, and Obama, not only did he not denounce the, I don't want to say protest, the rioting, and not that he should say you shouldn't protest, you have the right to protest, but it's full-out rioting. There was somebody who just died because an ambulance wasn't able to get where it was going because these rioters blocked a road because they're mad that their candidate didn't win. It's just not fair. That's pretty much the attitude coming from Portland and these other people who were pissed that Trump won and Hillary didn't, or somebody else didn't win. But he encouraged them. He never, and I don't have a problem with him encouraging their right to freedom of speech, but you need to do it. He also needed to take a stance on the violence. He needed to take a stance on the destruction of private property. You have a right to peacefully assemble. You do not have a right to go in, destroy property, destroy businesses, harass people, attack people who don't like the political candidate that you support, and that's something that you've seen as well, where people have been attacked after this election because they were known to support one candidate or another. And I would have liked to have seen the president really speak out against that. Yeah, you could support someone's right to basically be a baby and cry because you didn't get your way, but you shouldn't be. You should also put a caveat on there that you can't go out there and riot. That needs to be part of the conversation. So both of these people have failed. Let's hope that the coming cold will just chase them away. I know I wouldn't be protesting in the cold. And we're kind of holding up these people as beacons of civil liberties and freedom of speech, and really they're just whiners, they're just babies, they're sore losers, it's petulant, and we're really not talking about the real fighters out there, the people protesting the Dakota Access Pipeline. Those are real protesters. Those are protesters who are actually protesting a thing. They're not just throwing a hissy fit. And as I've said before, if people want to protest something that the Donald does as president, I'll stand behind you on that one, but just protesting the fact that you're unhappy that you didn't win an election, that's just being petulant. But anyways, what's going on up in North Dakota? That's a real situation. There's a guy I've been following. He's been up there. He's been protesting, and he's been posting different scenarios, different things that have been going on in his life and what he has experienced. And it's frightening, the result, the action of the police up there in North Dakota. And these people are fighting for... They're fighting for water. That's basically the big thing, is clean drinking water. They're afraid of that. They're fighting for their land, and it's just tragic. What else do these people need to go through? So it's just really, it's two different situations. And what's going on in the Pittsburgh schools, it's sad if it's happening here. A quote here in the Post-Gazette says, "We believe that every student deserves to learn in a respectful, inclusive learning community that helps them feel safe and supported. With that in mind, the district will not condone speech or actions that divide our students or communities. It is important for all of us to continue to treat others with differing perspectives and opinions with respect, tolerance, and dignity." And that's true. It just blows my mind. I grew up in such a different time. I feel like when I grew up, we didn't have the tensions that exist today. I'm sure they were there, maybe under the surface, but there were people of different backgrounds. Not many. I mean, I grew up in Westmoreland County out in North Huntington, but there were some people there, that we had a few African-American students where I grew up. I never felt that, there was never that tension. You never felt that anger or that hate. Everyone just kind of got along. And I felt like we were progressing as a country to a point where maybe we were going to get past this stuff. And it just seems like in the last few years, it's just ratcheted up, and it's just gotten worse than really it's ever gotten. But it's just sad. So I never got any real positive comments about the winter thing. Nobody has told me anything good. I thought, we would at least get somebody that would say, "Oh, skiing, I love to ski." In fact, the only comment I got is from Dee, who says, the former culture queen, she used to be a regular on this program until she disappeared. She says, "Winter sucks. I have a ton of places that I want to be, but the cold makes it more difficult." And that's something I've never had a problem with. If I want to do something, I do it. The cold be damned. And it's always bothered me when people allow cold weather to dictate their day-to-day life. If you want to do something, just do it. I mean, we live in Western Pennsylvania. People have been driving here their entire life, and I've never understood that. I've already seen it with just the first few little bit of flurries that we've had. People have already started stomping on on the brake. People have already started hesitating, second-guessing themselves. And it was just a few flurries. I don't even think there was ice on the road at the time of day. People are just pansies when it comes to driving, basically. It's just winter. It's Pennsylvania. Yeah, it sucks. I hate it. Trust me, I'm the biggest baby when it comes to the winter. And you'll never hear me complain about the heat. During the summer, you can ask anyone. I will never moan about the heat. But as soon as it dips below 70 degrees, I will whine like a Portland protester because I do not have what I want. One of these days, when this network is huge and nationwide and we have this massive audience, I am going to do my show from a beach in Florida, and you can hear, instead of hearing the winds of downtown Pittsburgh, you can hear the waves of the ocean crashing along the shore. That's my dream. That's where I plan to be. I plan for you to be here in just a few minutes. Come on, go! It's green! Come on! Go!
God damn it, Brian. You need to calm down with the road
I'm sick
rage.
of these people, these assholes.
It's the road rage, man. You gotta calm down on the road rage.
Well, I want to get to where we're going. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Falling Water,
Bicycle Heaven.
the Mattress Factory,
Tuck Knob.
Trundle Manor. All right, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Come on,
right,
come on.
Right.
Too late now.
Right, come on.
Well, too late now. I gotta keep going. I'm not gonna sit here like some asshole.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, you're listening to the Culture Cruise. You can find us at riversedgepgh.com.
Your local Pittsburgh area museum podcast.
Yes, riversedgepgh.com, and come take a ride with us. So apparently people were pooping on the street, and not just in the South Side. Apparently it's a worldwide phenomenon, and it's a problem, and the founder of Microsoft, that's right, you know him, Bill Gates, he is looking to solve that problem with perfume. That's right, perfume for your poop. And he's serious. So apparently places like India, again, not just the South Side, people are defecating all over the place and not in toilets. Why? One, because toilets are not readily available. Two, whenever they start putting toilets in, the smell is so horrible that people are not using the toilets. They're still pooping outside. So his thoughts were, if you get rid of the odor, then people will start pooping indoors. So this is a real thing. It's I got this. This comes from LinkedIn. You can check that out. I'll post the link here in the video page. It talks about Bill Gates's plans to fix the people pooping problem. So you can read that at your leisure. But we're going to do this, I think, for now on. We're going to move the weird news. It used to historically be in the middle of the show, but it was just kind of a weird break. But it is fun. People like the weird news. I think it's dumb, but people like it. You like it. So I'm doing it for you. So we're going to keep the weird news. We're going to add it here at the end of the program and kind of wrap things up with that. I think that's kind of cool, though. Bill Gates, he does some crazy things. I think I heard a rumor that he was trying to solve malaria by creating a robot that would shoot lasers at mosquitoes or something. I don't know. Someone told me that one time, and I didn't actually bother to look it up, but I hope it's true because that's pretty badass if it is. But that's it for me. This is like my day off. I'm really, really tired. I just came in from work. And as you know, I work overnight. So I'm here kind of slurring my words as I'm trying to fight through the last couple minutes of today's show. But it was good. Last few shows I've been sleeping, taking a nap, and then coming in. But today, I didn't have that luxury. I just had to muscle through it. So if I'm kind of falling asleep at the microphone, please bear with me. Tomorrow, Mike Sasson, he is back, 10 a.m. right here, and then I'll be back Wednesday. We'll have Amanda Narcisi of Bold Nights Out. She'll be hopefully in to talk about what's going on here in the city. She just had a great show on everything that was going on at Light Up Night, so you always get the inside scoop with Bold Pittsburgh here on the River's Edge with Bold Nights Out. I'm going to be doing a couple things next weekend. I'll let you know as the week progresses But we're going to be doing some live shows on location in the evenings at some of the great music venues in town. So stay tuned for more information on that. But also stay tuned, because up next, that's right, you're in luck. Local music here on Pittsburgh's home for local music. River's Edge at riversedgepgh.com. I'll catch you on Wednesday.